Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap. I am Surbhi and this is Perspective 360 Degree, your one-stop solution for current affairs, descriptive writing and answer writing evaluation. First of all the students who are watching this live, let me know in the chat section if the audio and video both are clear, if the alignment is proper, if you can see me properly, and if the audio is clear and like just look at the screen also. Is everything visible to you? Hello Rohit. All clear. Okay, thank you. So let's move ahead. The topic for today is services sector, and the biggest question that Indian economy has as of now is what is the way forward for India? This question will become a little more clearer as we proceed in the discussion. Prototype, okay, welcome back, Prototype. I think you were not present for quite a few lectures. Sejal, good evening. Pranav, good evening. Good evening, Neha. All right, so welcome back, all of you. And okay, that's okay. That's okay, Sejal. That's fine. Just continue with the topics ahead and cover the previous ones. And all the very best to all of you. Ishu, good evening, and Rajiv, good evening. So, see, there have been a lot of news headlines coming, and this question is highly expected in your exam in descriptive portion of the next examination that you're going to take. So, the Indian Express covered it on 4th Jan. They said India's way forward, services or manufacturing. So, what should be the take of India? Should we develop the manufacturing sector more or should we rely on services sector because most of our GDP comes from services sector. So can we do that? Also, kindly let me know if there is no echo in the audio. Is the audio like crystal clear to all of you? If there is a problem, then I'll change the settings. The second headline was again the Economic Times. India's largely unskilled labor force makes a push for high value services and manufacturing futile. Okay, and there is this a lot of data we'll be taking from this website, which is India Brand Equity Foundation. You can rely on this source for like good quality data. They have covered all the sectors of Indian economy in detail. Also, we'll be referring a lot to the manufacturing sector today. So, if you want to study the manufacturing sector, you can go to day 41 of Perspective 360 Degree. You can go back to this discussion. You'll find it on our YouTube channel in the playlist section. And day 41 was about the manufacturing sector. So, kindly cover that also so that you're all done for your exam. Okay. So, looking at the relevance of this topic from RBI Grade B perspective, there is a topic called service sector in India, which is directly a portion of your economic and social issues. Then for NABARD Grade A, you do not have services sector in India as a separate topic, but you have these topics called nature of Indian economy, which we will be talking about today, and structural and institutional features of Indian economy. For SEBI Grade A, again, you do not have a mention of services sector directly, but that forms a part of your syllabus implicitly. And for English writing skills, this is going to be important for all those students who are taking the SEBI Grade A exam. All right. Okay, so the topic that we will be taking today, first of all, I'm displaying the question in front of you. And today, the topic that we are discussing is going to be a little tougher. The services sector that will be covered, yes. Also, we'll be analyzing a few aspects because a lot of articles have been appearing, a lot of editorials have appeared. So, the question here is highlight the important features or trends of services sector of India. I think that's like very easy to understand and very easy to answer. If you have completed your static portion, you will be able to highlight the important features. At least for those of you who are taking the exam, the contribution of services sector to GDP and to employment, that should be very much, learnt by you. Also, identify the conspicuous challenges associated with India's development model. For those of you who do not understand the meaning of conspicuous, here conspicuous means uh, something that is, attracting attention. So, what are those challenges which are taking our attention and which are like the most of concern for a country like India? All right, so first of all, let me display the answer blueprint. It is divided into three parts: introduction, main body, and conclusion. So, that's how we will be writing our answer. In the main body, we will try to give most of the information. Conclusion will not contain any new information. And in the introduction, we'll try to write in such a way that there is an impression that is left on the examiner. Okay, so that is going to be our thought process. Now in the introduction, write a general overview of services sector. Why are we writing a general overview? Because they have asked us highlight the important features or trends of services sector of India. So the features and trends will be forming your body part 1, the important features. So in the introduction, you just cannot start with directly writing features. You have to talk about the topic under discussion briefly. You have to give the most important information, and then you have to move to the body part 1. In the body part 2, obviously, we'll be answering the second part of the question, which talks about challenges or most important challenges associated with India's development model. All right. So, and in the conclusion, we'll be writing the way forward to these challenges that we are discussing in body part 2. Now, here, this lecture is going to give you clarity about the services sector and what is the problem with India's economic model or the current growth that, we are witnessing. You must have heard about a topic called jobless growth, or, that one topic is jobless growth. The second topic is that, most of the Indians, or like 1% of the Indians hold most of the wealth. That's the Oxfam report. And rest of the Indians hold very little amount of wealth. So means there is, there are disparities in your country and they are not reflected in the GDP. So this is going to be a very, intense discussion. First of all, things should be clear. What is the services sector? So in your economy, 3 types of sectors are there. The first one is primary, the second is secondary, and the third one is tertiary. Tertiary sector is also known as the services sector. What is the primary sector? Primary sector means that involves usage of raw materials. It could be agriculture, it could be mining. The secondary sector talks about manufacturing or the industry. So for like a good economy or for traditional economies, what the model has been, they were earlier agriculture based economies, and with the passage of time they had their own industrial revolutions or industrial bases were set up. And what happens when industries are set up in your country? You produce your own goods. You produce your goods, let's say, at the cost of rupees 100 per piece. You can sell it at the price you want. You can sell it at, let's say, 500 rupees per piece, or at double the price, 10 times the price. And this difference in the making of the product and the difference in the selling price of the product brings a lot of profits to you, to a business, and hence to the country. Not just this, whenever there are a lot of industries in your country, whenever the manufacturing sector is very strong, manufacturing sector has the tendency to employ all kinds of people. You will be requiring truck drivers, you will be requiring telecommunicators, you will be requiring highly skilled people who will be building softwares for, let's say, online websites of an industry. Okay, so all kinds of people can be employed. So for any country which wants to grow in the long run, the ideal way is that you have a robust manufacturing sector, and sadly that is not present in India. India is seeing a increase in GDP. Increase in GDP is there, but we do not have large industries here. Our economy is mainly dependent on the services sector for GDP and on agriculture for employment. And what we want is this middle sector, the secondary sector. We want to enhance this. So recently there was a book by Dr. Raghuram Rajan. He's the former governor of RBI, and he made many observations regarding India, which we will be discussing in today's lecture. So first of all, the tertiary sector or the services sector. Services sector means, what is services sector? Means you're not producing a product. Whatever activity you are carrying out, that is intangible. For example, I'm taking this lecture with you. So this is exchange of information, or I'm educating you. Can you see this? Can you see education? You cannot see it, you cannot touch it. So intangible products, these are basically a part of services sector. So services sector includes healthcare, media and entertainment, education, and information technology. Now, do you think if people don't have money, or if the government doesn't have money, if a country doesn't have money, can they invest in healthcare? They can't do that. And most of your money has to come from the manufacturing sector if you want to sustain your economy in the long run and you want to provide jobs to people in the long run. And then there are types of services sector. You can, for example, banking, insurance, transportation, warehousing. For social services, just like as I discussed, education, health, and administration. And for personal services, tourism, hospitality, restaurants, recreationals, all these form a part of services sector. So we want good growth there also, but we want more more robust growth in the manufacturing sector. And this is what our today's discussion will be about. So as I told you, the first part, that is introduction, should be talking about general overview of services sector. Here, talk about what service sector constitutes. Don't talk about its contribution to employment and GDP in the introduction itself, because the second part is about important features. So we will be using that data in our body part 1. So in the general overview of services sector, what you will be writing is definition that the service sector, also known as tertiary sector, is one of the 3 sectors of economy. And what are the other 2? The other 2 being primary, which includes agriculture, forestry, mining, and fishing, and the secondary, which involves manufacturing and construction. Now, talk about that service sector does not produce tangible goods. So in India, it encompasses a wide range of economic activities that provide intangible services rather than physical goods. Okay, now give some examples of services sector, which I showed you in the previous slide. So in India, talk about the most important service sector first, that is IT and software services, information technology and software services. Engineering in India has been a culture in the previous decade and this decade also, in taking engineering courses, because your Western companies, they outsource their services or software services to India, because in India there are people are very logical, they have sharp minds, and hence they are very good engineers, very good at developing softwares, working in the IT industry. So all these foreign companies or MNCs have their established offices in India, especially areas like Noida, Gurugram, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and there you will see a lot of software engineers being employed. So business processing, outsourcing, BPO, financial services, BPO, because Indians are very good at speaking English as compared to their other Asian counterparts, and these services are made available to these foreign MNCs at a very cheaper rate in India. Financial services, healthcare and medical tourism, because the cost of healthcare is very low in India as compared to developed countries. Education and training, telecom and internet services, tourism and hospitality, entertainment and media, legal and professional services, retail and e-commerce. You can choose to write just 4 of these, but do mention at least 4 services which are important for India with the help of commas in your introduction itself. Now we'll move on to the let's delve deeper section. Here we'll talk about the body part 1, that is, we'll answer the question directly on point. So in the body part 1, let's talk about important features of service sector. So first of all, it has led the economic growth of India post LPG reforms. You must have heard about engineers being placed at very high packages, and that has brought foreign exchange in the country. A lot of people have been employed. Just imagine if there was no service sector in India and there was no outsourcing of jobs in the IT industry in the country. Where would all the skilled labor passing out of all these engineering colleges and other colleges, where would it be employed? Right now also we have a big problem of unemployment in the country. I will be discussing about that. But the service sector in India, it has absorbed a lot of skilled labor as well. Okay, so first of all, it has led to economic growth by providing jobs, and tourism and cultural exchange has happened, and different from traditional model. What is this last feature about? And this is the most important feature. So talking about features of service sector, let's talk about economic growth. So first of all, it accounts for most of the country's economic output. Over 50% of India's GDP, that is around 54%, that is coming from the services sector. And these services, like again IT, BPO and medical tourism, they have brought a lot of foreign exchange to India, which has stabilized Indian economy and hence helped in economic growth. And the retail and e-commerce subsectors, they have experienced significant growth in recent years. Why? Because of availability of digital platforms, and because of digital India or digitization of use of digital devices. This has the use of retail and e-commerce services has increased in the country. The second one is employment generation, and whenever you're reading economy, first thing is money you should be concentrated on, second is jobs. Okay, so employment generation is not very strong in the services sector as compared to agriculture, but yes, it is very much robust. So it is a major source of employment in India, provides jobs to around 30.7% of Indian population. Where is your 50% of workforce employed, or more than 50% of your workforce employed? Kindly let me know in the chat section which sector it is. Is it the secondary sector or is it the primary sector? And because of this, India is a global outsourcing hub. Again, there is repeated information for IT, BP, or knowledge based services. For example, healthcare. Healthcare is a knowledge based service. So, India has become a global outsourcing hub because of the presence of service sector. The third important feature here is tourism and cultural exchange. Right now, Lakshadweep Islands are gaining a lot of prominence. Your old like ancient techniques, ancient practices like yoga or spirituality, they're gaining a lot of prominence. All these account for, like, they form a part of the service sector only. So the tourism and hospitality sector contributes to cultural exchange and the growth of country's reputation. Not just this, it also increases your country's soft power. Then the fourth feature and most important one here is that the growth of service sector is very different from traditional model. In other countries or in conventional economies, what happens in the first stage, the country is dependent on agriculture only or on farming only. Then people move out of agriculture because of advancement in technologies. Then there is an industrial revolution that happens in the country, or a robust manufacturing sector develops. Now, to run that manufacturing sector, you need, like, people in good health. Also, you need skilled people, you need educated people. That is where the service sector comes in, and the growth of manufacturing sector actually leads to the growth of service sector. That means they're actually feeding each other, they're actually helping each other grow. But in India, where is the service sector coming from? Is it coming from the manufacturing sector? No, it is coming from foreign countries. So our sector, our service sector, and hence our GDP, hence our employment, depends a lot on what the global situation is like, and is it going to stay the same in future. Okay, so India's service sector is notably high tech, is growing very fast compared to manufacturing. And is it? It is high tech. That means skilled people are more in demand, and people with lesser quality skills. For example, truck drivers or people who do not know how to speak in English or run a software, they face a problem in finding employment. So this shift refers from traditional models where countries transition from agriculture to manufacturing before services. So this is not like the traditional model that we see in India, and that is a major area of concern. And this model, it leverages global service demand. If globally Indian services are available, then our GDP will grow, then employment will grow. Otherwise, there would be a problem. And it benefits from outsourcing trends and advances in IT, making it a part of global supply chain for services. So I hope you have clarity till this point. We have discussed 4 features of the service sector, and now I will be moving to the body part 2, that is talking about the challenges associated with the current developmental model. What is the current development model that we are talking about here? That is your feature number 4, that not having a robust manufacturing sector, but a lot of reliance on the service sector for your economy. What are the problems, or what are the conspicuous challenges which attract our attention? What are these challenges associated with India's development model? So before moving on to that, if you have any doubts or any additions to make till here, then kindly let me know in the chat section. I will be happy to answer them. And then we'll move on to the second part, and the second part is going to be very, very interesting as compared to the first one. Thank you, Veenu ma'am. Okay, yes. Sejal, that's right. Primary it is. Most of the people in your country, they are employed by agriculture. More than 50% of the people are employed in agriculture. You will have the recent data available when the economic survey and budget are out in February. So kindly wait for that. Uh, Bhavi Gadda, namaste. Sejal, okay. Harshal, good evening. Pranav, you can contact this phone number for any further guidance that you require. 8146-207-241. All right. So now, no more issues coming, no problems coming. Let's move on to the body part 2, and let's discuss challenges associated with the current model. Now, what is the challenge that you can think with the current model? Most of the MNCs which are based in, let's say, UK, Europe, USA, Canada, they are employing people who are based in India. They're like staying in Bangalore. They're software engineers. They are involved in BPOs. Let's say these countries, they start using AI to develop softwares, or they start employing AI tools for running their BPOs, or let's say all the services which are currently provided by Indian people. So where will our population go? Where will our jobs go? So our jobs, they're directly dependent on these, outsourced services from our Western counterparts. So that is the biggest challenge. And the question here is that can India sustain in the long run without having a robust manufacturing sector? Is it possible? What do you think? Or do you think there is a solution even when you don't have a lot of industries? You're not producing your own goods. Most of your goods are like cheaper goods, they're coming from China. High tech electronics, they're coming from some Western country. So, do you think this is a sustainable model for a country which aspires to be a global economic leader also? Then kindly let me know in the chat section and think about it. So now there are some, opinions which I found in some of the editorials and some of the news articles. I'm sharing that here. Uh, one of them would be coming from the book by Dr. Raghuram Rajan and Rohit Lamba. The book has recently been in news. It has recently come out. So the first one says that India, the biggest challenge with India is that it has a low skilled labor, that almost 80% of its working age population does not even have a higher secondary education. And every year we are adding more and more people to the workforce, but these people, they do not have a lot of skills. And in your degree programs also, for example, BTech from an IIT is not equivalent from BTech from a local engineering college. It is not equivalent. The skills that these two people hold passing out from various different colleges, these are not the same. Okay, so as of now, it has been said that the education system in the country, especially the higher education system, it is unable to impart marketable skills. People, they're having, they complete their education, they have their degrees in hand, but they do not get the jobs that they want. Or jobs, either they're not available, even if the jobs are not available, they're not in the stream in which they would want to be employed and at the right salaries. So, and the second opinion is coming from the book by Dr. Raghuram Rajan and Rohit Lamba. The book's name is important for your objective part also. It's called Breaking the Mold, Reimagining India's Economic Future. So they have asked that whether India can grow and develop by prioritizing service sector growth only rather than industrial growth. So the solution that they have suggested is that India needs a coupling of the service sector and the manufacturing sector. We need service sector for now because of the job and economic strength it provides, but we also need to develop our manufacturing sector side by side. So this is the solution. This is the hybrid model that they have suggested. So it will not be primary, secondary, and tertiary for our country. It will be primary, secondary, and tertiary moving in parallel with each other. That is going to be the solution for India. Okay, so now what are the challenges associated with the current development model? We have discussed them. Let's write about them. The first is unbalanced growth. Unbalanced growth means service sector has a lot of growth, manufacturing doesn't. So India has had difficulties in expanding the share of manufacturing sector in its economy, and India's manufacturing sector has plateaued. Plateaued means it has become stagnant at or below 20% of India's economy. The service sector contributes around 54% to your economy. Okay, but manufacturing sector contributes only around 20%, and it has not been able to grow at par with the services sector or any other sector. So in other words, India appears to be jumping a stage in which the development process by going from primary agrarian to a mainly service economy, and that jump is not right because India's growth is heavily reliant on the service sector, and it might not be sustainable in the long run. So we have written what we just discussed. The second is high unemployment and skill mismatch. So there is high unemployment in the country, which clearly indicates that India is not producing its own goods, and there is not a good manufacturing sector. And skill mismatch, that even if jobs are available in the manufacturing sector, right kind of skilled people are not available. Skilled workforce is not available. Okay, so despite economic growth, India faces a high overall unemployment rate. If I talk about unemployment for ages between 15 to 24, that is above 40%. That this implies that people who are completing their education, let's say somebody leaves the school at 15 years of age, or stops his completes his college studies or higher education around at like 22, 23, or 24. These are the people who are the highest, who hold the highest percentage of unemployment in the country, that is above 40%. So that's an alarm bell for the country actually. And the service sector is creating jobs mainly primarily in low value added or low skills areas, and not in high tech services. High tech services jobs are there, they're highly paid, but these jobs are very few in number. So the service sector is not providing jobs in, like, let's say small towns. People have to migrate to bigger cities, attain high be high skilled to be able to take these jobs. So the higher aspirations of a more educated workforce, they cannot be met by the services sector, so that's a problem. And employability and industry relevance of the graduates that we're producing, that is again a very big problem. Your new education policy addresses this problem. It tries to introduce vocational education, that is skill based education in your education system. But again, to see that change coming, decades are required right now. Then there is emphasis on aggregate GDP. You must have heard about this target of becoming a 5 trillion economy, $5 trillion economy. So yes, economy can grow, but where is the wealth lying? It is lying in the hands of a few people only, or with like few people who are very highly skilled. So the development model that we are focusing on is focusing on GDP for the country. It has to focus on GDP per individual, or your per capita income. That has to be our focus. Just like we focused on doubling farmers income, and we carried out a lot of steps in the, a lot of transformation in the agriculture sector. Similarly, per capita income, that has to increase, and that should be our primary focus. All right. So now moving on to the way forward, here we'll be providing solutions to this unbalanced growth, high unemployment and skill mismatch. Whenever you have challenges, just give solution to all these problems that you're discussing. So if there is unbalanced growth, then that means the government should carry out labor reforms, land reforms, and incentives should be given for the manufacturing sector. Secondly, if there is high unemployment and skill mismatch, then there is more investment required in higher education, or educate the GDP, the percentage of GDP that goes towards education, that has to be increased. And for this third challenge, you can say that per capita income should be focused on as a way forward. So your way forward, or the conclusion, would be divided into three parts. But again, there are some things that you need to focus here, that the development challenge is to make average citizen better off. If you're at citizen level, everybody's leading a better life in, let's say, next 5 to 10 years, then your country is moving towards development. These targeted GDPs, they do not indicate the level of development or the kind of development that we want for our country. Okay. And here is the way forward that we have, that is 3 points. Address the skill deficit. How you will address this? By aligning education with industry needs, and by raising investment in higher education, and improve the infrastructure that is available for higher education. Then reform the policies. What kind of policies we need to reform? Land and labor reforms have to be carried out. Regulatory reforms to attract more investment and incentivize private industry to scale up, which will create more jobs. Then combine growth models. That means combine the service sector and the manufacturing sector, club them and focus on them in both at the same time. So India should integrate growth in both the service and manufacturing sectors. They do not have to compete with each other. They have to cooperate and grow together. Okay. So now this has been an intense discussion. I'm displaying the question again in front of you. Kindly send your answers to us in the comment section under this video. Under this YouTube video, the comment section would be open. Kindly post your answers in the requisite word limit. Maximum word limit is 600 words, and the time limit that you have available is 48 hours only. So today is Monday. Kindly post your answers by Wednesday 5 p.m. Beyond that, answers will be they will be posted, but they will not be evaluated. Our experts sit day and night to evaluate these answers so that you can improve, you can get better in the descriptive writing portion, and also you can attain knowledge about where you need to get better. Okay, so I hope the initiative is benefiting you all. Kindly do let me know in the comment section if you need some additions, some additional topics to be covered, and tell me how is it helping you. You can reach out to us for strategy calls at this phone number 8146207241, or you can write an email to us at hello@edutap.co.in for any of the doubts or queries that you have. My name is Surbhi, and if you have any doubts, then kindly let me know in the chat section. Otherwise, we'll call this a day. Um, uh, uh, Rajiv, I think when you contact at this number, you can book a strategy call with the subject experts, Jalad sir, Kritika ma'am, and then they will be in a better position to provide you with the updates, okay, and information regarding this. Okay, all of you, this has been a great, discussion with you. Kindly join me on Wednesday at 5 p.m. and post your answers before that time for the comprehensive evaluation. The PDF for this discussion will be available tomorrow on our Telegram channel. Tomorrow morning, it will be made available so that it becomes easier for you to write answers. And even if some of you are writing answers by looking at the PDFs or watching the videos again and again, that's completely fine. It's not necessary that you are able to absorb all the information in just one go after watching the video once. That will not be possible. It will require you to go back to the PDF, and it will require you to revise these topics again and again. Okay, so kindly complete the day 41 video as well. Go back to it, revise the manufacturing sector also, and post your additions in the answers that you send to us. Take care and all the very best. I'll see you on Wednesday.